Hello, everyone, and welcome to the channel, Finding Blesses, Peace, and Hope. I just came from a job fair today, and it wasn't really all that inspiring. They're hiring all these different places, they're hiring certain positions I'm not really interested in. To tell you a little bit about myself, I am homeless. I am a former professional airline employee. I worked for the airline for about 13 years. I live out on the streets. They don't want to say homeless anymore. It's houseless. I don't consider myself one of those vagrants, drug addicts that just wake up to get their next fix. I fell on unfortunate times, made a lot of wrong decisions, didn't consult God. Maybe I was too busy for God to consult Him. It ended up in this unfortunate situation. Living out on the streets day to day becomes very tiring. You lose your motivation, your hope, your strength. You start to lose faith in God. Sometimes you become so desperate. Sometimes you just become so hopeless that you just don't want to wake up the next day. You don't want to go on. Everything is hard. Everything is a fight. Everything is a struggle. Everything is a battle. You don't have the will to live. You don't have the will to get up. You don't have the will to shower, but you have to keep going and going. You can't sleep out on the street all day long for people to walk by and look at you and gawk at you and say, you're a lazy person. Look at yourself. You can't. I get up 5:30 to 6 o'clock a.m. every morning, and I don't go to bed until 11 p.m. or 12 a.m. I'm ripping and running every single day, but not to a job. I come to the library every day. I look for work. I get a few interviews. Feel like I scored an aced the interview. They seem like they like me. Then a week or two, or maybe even 3 weeks later, you get an email saying, oh, your qualification's so good, but we decided to go with someone else. I have over 30 years of customer service experience. Sometimes I think, well, maybe I'm just too old. I don't know. These jobs that they're hiring for is not rocket science. I mean, really. I spoke to one of my counselors at the Career Source Center, and he said, well, maybe you're getting rejected. He said, well, maybe are you overqualified? Maybe you're overqualified. And I said, well, I didn't think about that. Well, I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know why. And it just seems like all the pieces of my life is just falling down all around me. So many things has happened that it's just unbelievable, unexplainable. What brought me to homelessness was that I was living in New Jersey at the time, and it seemed like everybody from the company was leaving New Jersey to move to the main hub of the airline because it was cheaper, it was nicer, it was bigger, the houses or the apartments was bigger. People would come back and say, oh yes, I got this nice big house and it's very cheap. It's cheaper than living here, and which is true. That part of that side of the country, that particular state, they have nicer, bigger things, and it was cheaper. So I got desperate. I had a son to raise. I have an autistic son to raise, and single mother, and me living in a ghetto area, and he was so impressionable, and I got so desperate to leave that particular city and wanted a better life, a more affordable life, me paying $1,000 rent, $250 car note, $250 insurance, putting food on the table, buying my son's uniform, shoes. I didn't even buy myself clothes. I put all my concentration on him. Paying for summer camps, paying for it as long as I could until they kicked my son out. The summer camp bus came and they checked the list. Oh, you're not up to date on your bill. We can't take him. Oh, and I was getting ready to go to work. Oh, so now what do? I mean, it's just, everything was just too expensive there, and I got so desperate, and I knew I wanted to live by the water. And I put in this transfer, and I didn't think it would come through that quickly. I guess within a few months it came through that quickly, and me not talking to the Lord and trying to figure out, or asking the Lord for guidance on this, I wind up making that quick decision and accepting the transfer to San Francisco. My husband, but then at that time he was my boyfriend, boy, he did everything to try to find a place for us. And he found this one lady managing an apartment building. And he explained to her, he told her, we're coming from the East Coast. I mean, my credit's not all that great, but he explained everything. And she was like, sure, I'll give you the keys. All I just need to do is just check the credit. We already explained my credit was not great. I work for this. This is how much I make a month. Oh, well, okay, that's fine. Just come over. And that was the most stupidest thing. Gave away all my stuff. Just gave it away. Because the Salvation Army, we called them several times to come pick up, and they never came. I was going to donate everything. Well, I donated in a different way. And from that decision, it had to have been 2009 or either 2010. And for some reason, I couldn't make it there. I get to the place and I don't know. But we get there and she turned a different tune. Oh no, I can't take you. Your credit's not. And I said, we spoke to you. We told you we was coming from the East Coast. You made it seem like, everything's going to be all right. I'm going to have a place for you. Now we get here. Me, my son, and my husband. And you turn us around and put us out on the street. And I say, may God curse you for that, lady. May God curse you. But I was the fool anyway. So that was really started my homelessness. Stayed in hotels while I worked in San Francisco, $1,000 a week. I don't know how I did it, but it was by the grace of God. I cried every single day. Every single day. I got to the point I was taking out my 401k, trying to make it down there. We was just looking for places. It's like God just said, He didn't consult me. This is not working out for you. Everywhere we tried, there was just a door slammed in our face. Things just did not work out. So eventually I had to give it up. I had to give up my airline job, come back over to the East Coast. And I blame myself, and I still to this day blame myself. I took out all my money from the 401k. Spent thousands. Spent them. Everything. Trying to survive. Excuse me. And since then, I just couldn't get back up on my feet. I mean, working for the airline was great. You had the amenities, but it was so stressful. Such a stressful job. I was in my mid-30s taking high blood pressure pills. Every day, my blood pressure was just high. I mean, the vacations, when it's time to take vacations, of course, vacations are great. But then you got to come back and face reality and take care of home, take care of business. But as I came back, we went to New York and spending money on hotels until my husband found a realtor to rent out an apartment. So he took us through the apartment, spoke to the owner, I don't know, next day or 2 days later, I can't remember. Okay, owner didn't care, so, he asked some questions. And, okay, he gave us the keys. Getting to the apartment, everything looked so nice. But the thing about it is when the realtor took us to the apartment, it was a family still there. And he took us through really quick, even though the family was still there. He took us through really quick. And it was okay for 3 people. I mean, we turned the living room into the master bedroom, and the other room for my son had a kitchen and a long foyer entranceway. So the problem with that apartment was mice infested. And I hate mice. Can't stand mice. Mice, rats, I don't care. The door would jam and lock on the inside. You can't open the door. There you go. What if the fire can't get out? So many problems with that apartment. And he was a slumlord. We took him to court. And I think he didn't show because he was on vacation in Greece. So these rich slumlords, they just think they could just take your money and run to another country and have a nice big vacation. So I had to get out of there. I went down to my mom's. I just wanted to leave the whole place. So I left and went down to North Carolina. left and went down there. And then my mother didn't like my boyfriend. For whatever reason, I don't know. Oh, I think that what I heard. He caused my downfall. He's a former airline flight attendant, so. But he caused my downfall. No, I caused my own downfall. And it still eats away at me today because now I'm living out on the streets. I got so burnt out on my job that I stopped looking. I stopped working for maybe. I lost my job 2011 and I stopped working for maybe 4 years. I forgot when I came. I probably came back to the East Coast 2012. So, and then we went down to the South to try to start anew, a better life, because I like the South better, and but things just kept not working out, Things were just kept not working out, and I just don't understand why. What was I doing wrong? Maybe not consulting God. Anyway, I left my son with my mother. God bless her heart and soul. Today is her birthday. She passed earlier this May. That's a whole another story as well. I didn't find out until 9 days later. I figured that maybe everybody in my family hates me. And when I learned recently from my stepfather what my mother said about me on the deathbed, I guess she resented me and hated me. My life wasn't going well, and I knew I could not raise my son homeless, and I didn't want him to be homeless, being that he's autistic. And my mom had a big old house in North Carolina, 4 bedrooms, 2 baths, all this land where you can build a whole apartment community or something. Acres she had. And I thought that it was best for my son to be down there than with me at the time. He was 12 years old, so he wasn't a baby. I just think I just made all of the wrong decisions. And I can't take it back. I can't redo it over. My mom is gone, and I didn't even get a chance to go to her funeral. Nobody in the family would help me get there from where I was at. I was in another state, and she was in another state. And I say everybody in the family must hate me that much. What did my mom tell them? All I wanted, what started this whole thing was that I wanted better for my son. I did not want him being out in those ghetto streets where you hear every day somebody's getting shot or killed, something happening. And he's a vulnerable little boy who has what they want to call a mental disability. That boy's smart. Today he's driving a car. So, and he has a little job going on. So, he doesn't really have a disability. He can still do what he needs to do. There's so much to this story. I don't even know where to begin. We had a convertible van. We had to basically donate that because my husband's sister invited us up. She got us an apartment to New Jersey. In New Jersey from the South. And that was a whole nother disaster. I'm sorry if I'm all over the place. It's just that my thoughts are rumbling and tumbling around in my head, and certain points of my life sticks out, and I can't still understand it all or digest it all. I guess I'm just so tired. I take 2 to 3 buses everywhere I go just to get one place. I go get breakfast from Walmart, take the bus, go all the way down to Heat It Up at Racetrack. Then from Racetrack, catch one bus and then catch the next bus to go to the library. Spend my days in the library applying for jobs. And watching YouTube and get inspiring about these van lifers and how they're decorating a van and living alone, and the females, or you have the couples, or you have the solo men, and I know what it's like in van life. I was doing van life before I even knew about van lifers on YouTube. And I enjoyed my convertible van. I really enjoyed it. I mean, they didn't have the kitchen and, the stove. And I wasn't there at that point yet. But we had a queen-size bed, and that's all that matters. And a roof over our head, that's all that mattered. And it was drivable. It could get you from point A to point B. So that was good. And we got rid of it to come to New Jersey because of his sister. His rich sister. Well, I won't call her rich, but she's wealthy enough. Her house costs over $500,000, and she lived in a nice part of New Jersey somewhere. But that's a whole nother different story too. I do have some clips and shots of my makeshift bed on the streets. Once I learn how to use an editing program, I can upload those and show you guys. I guess I just needed to vent. I don't have much family. I don't have any family really. I don't have any support system. It's just me and my husband, and we're at each other, and all around the situation just is not good. You keep trying and just keep getting these doors slammed in your face, and now you're outside, you're in the elements, you got to deal with the wind and the rain and the cold. You have to stealth shower. I'll tell you about that a little later. Now at the library, they have this rule. And it was for the people of the homeless, because a lot of homeless people come to the library, but they bring their bags and everything. I meant to bring that letter to you. I'm going to show you that letter next time. It's a letter. I went to change my clothes to go to the job fair. And I left, one of my bags at the table of the computer where I was staying. My husband, when I'm finished, dressing, I come back into the computer lab room. He shows me this letter that was left at the desk. And they also have, it's already pre-highlighted. It's already pre-highlighted on this letter. It's a policy letter, and it has something to do with hygiene, and it's already pre-highlighted. But what our problem was unattended bags left. And I see people leave unattended bags all the time. All the time. But they have a gripe with us because when they first started that rule, it was voting time, and they was trying to get everybody to vote. And then, people started coming in the library, like directors or whoever. And they shooed out a whole bunch of homeless people. They told them to leave. And then the man came with spray and started spraying the library. And so the next day we came and we had 2 bags each. They tell us we can't have 2 bags each, 1 bag per person, which is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. At the library, a public place. What is this, an airline? It's not an airline. I know, I worked there for years. 1 bag apiece. And then today they give us a letter stating your bags are unattended. We still have 2 bags because I had to change, so I have 2 bags. So I have an extra bag. And it's this, they put it on our desk because when they told us, when they started that rule the first day, they told us we need to leave or either consolidate our bags. And so my husband, being who he is, a Sagittarius, he gave them a mouthful, respectively. And I gave them an answer of, you're just trying to eradicate a certain group of people. That's why you put this rule into place. And I left. And we went to another library at the time. But that library is just far away, and I really didn't like that library too well. And I'm starting not to like this library at all, not with the workers, because now I feel like they're nitpicking because we told them how we felt about it. I'm sorry, I just don't conform to your rules and you think I'm just going to bow down to you. No. I know my rights. That's okay and fine. I'll obey your rules, that's all right. But you're not going to talk down to me and belittle me like that. I'm going to let you know. I find it offensive. And if I had money, I'll try to go to a lawyer and do something about it. Because this rule is ridiculous. And so we're facing all types of challenges every day. In this state, they just seem like they're just trying to eradicate the homeless. And I know there are homeless people out there who don't care. They live around garbage. They throw garbage. I know that. But when you have 2 foreign professionals who just fallen off hard times, and to be treated like that, it doesn't sit well with us. And you say, okay, yeah, go into the shelter, but the shelters kick you out at 5 o'clock. You don't have a shower. So like I said, this is when this stealth showering comes into place. And I've been to the YMCA in New Jersey, and they don't have married rooms or, married rooms. They have bunk beds. You got to be in at a certain time. You got rules. I mean, they treat you like you were some type of drug addict. And I was like, okay, I've been brought down a peg or 2, but this is not who I am. I don't say I'm better than people, but when you have a 4-year degree in Bachelor's of Science and you're not a drug addict and you just happen to make the wrong decision that landed you in a wrong, bad place in a situation, yeah, of course, I'm not going to take too lightly to people talking down to me. I'm not your child. But sometimes maybe I needed to have been taken down a notch or 2. I don't know. Man, I've been struggling since after I had my baby. And I found out that he was autistic. So all I wanted was the best for him. And I remember I moved from studio apartment to a 1.5 bedroom apartment to a 2-bedroom apartment. And every time I moved, the rent went higher and higher and higher. I remember my grandmother told me, oh, now that you have a baby, you're going to need a car. When I was single, I was just busting it every day. Bus here, bus there, bus here. You know how much expensive car's going to be? Oh, no, Grandma, I can't get no car. She said, you're going to need a car with that baby. I was like, And eventually she was right. I tried the busing thing for a couple of years, I guess, with the baby. And I realized, like, these car seats. I mean, this, what do you call it? The thing that you carry, the carrier seat, hopping back and forth on buses in the snow. And You need to go that place, that place. Then the babysitting fees are out of control. Jeez Louise. And having your car repossessed. To back to busing it again. Man, it's like I tried so hard. And at one point, I've given up. I mean, when I lost my job, I was like, I just can't get back into the workforce. Not right now. And that's when we had the convertible van, and, you know, we did some metal scrapping, and we just got by. You know, we ain't had no overhead. We ain't had no rent. We didn't have utility bills and any of that stuff. We just had gas, maybe sometimes maintenance, or a flat tire here and there, you know. And we did pretty good for 2 years. 2 years. I didn't work. And it felt so free, but we had a van. But out on these streets, it's not the same. It is not the same. And sometimes we kick ourselves for listening to his sister and donating our van away and moving back to New Jersey just to get shunned and ignored. They're having family Christmas dinners and Thanksgiving dinners without us. To find out that she leased an illegal apartment. To discover that when the county came over for inspection of the house, they told us we can't live here no longer because it was an attic. A small attic at that, without a back door, without a stove, without a proper kitchen. Landlord installed some cabinets, top, down below, a sink, threw a refrigerator there. That's another story. I feel so why am I here? What am I doing?